What is up? It is Monday, September 28th. You know who it is. It's your allies behind enemy lines. Ryan and Joey coming at you thoroughly behind enemy lines in Cowboys territory, holding it down for all our Washington football team fans out there. If you're watching here on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, ring that little notifications bell if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts. Rate, review, subscribe, unsubscribe, then resubscribe again so we can cook the books. That's what we're trying to do here. Make sure we try to get those numbers up. Pump and dump, baby, except without the dump. The air not so crisp right now. Colors not so bright. Water or food drink tasting a little dull. But guess what? We are still your first place Washington football team. Joey, not the way we want it to happen, but hey, I guess we'll take what we can get. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing all right. I mean, it just never left. I thought about it all weekend, as we led into this game. Just what I had said about we're probably all going to lose this game on Sunday, and it's all I could resonate in my head. When we did pull up early in the game, I thought, and the Eagles, they're kissing your sister Ty. And then the Cowboys look like they were to come back. I thought for a second we might be in jeopardy there, but it's the NFC least, and we do what we do, and we're still first place.
It's true. We do what we do, and it's not a whole lot. There was, this week, like you said, fortunately, everyone else kind of stinks right now. We're not playing our best football. We got off to a hot start, and maybe we're starting to slowly notice that while we played a good game week one, maybe the Eagles are just that bad. They're struggling quite a bit there. We knew the Giants were going to have trouble to do anything without Saquon, things like that. So I agree. I was a little nervous about the Cowboys coming back. But as I was telling someone earlier, if the season ended today, which is a very, likely possibility more than any year before that the season could end any day, we would be your NFC East champion and representative in the playoffs. So we are in first place because we have that division win. But let's jump right into yesterday's game because it wasn't pretty. Like you said, we jumped out to a nice little lead, 7-0, and then that slowly disappeared and became 17-7 going into half. If there's one thing that we can point out, it's that we are consistently giving up 17 points in the first half every single time. No less, no more. 17 points. That's it. That's what it is. So once maybe we can get that number down to maybe like 10, maybe even like 14 I'll take to start off with, we might have some better options. But tough go at it. The first thing that comes to mind, news came across about an hour ago, Matt Ioannidis, torn biceps. So he's probably done for the year. Hard to come back from that. Again, another soft tissue injury, much of what we've seen a lot around the NFL thus far. And we weren't going to be immune to it. We knew it was going to happen sooner or later. So he's done for the season. Chase Young goes out with a groin injury. Yet again, a soft tissue injury there. No timetable yet. He did say on Twitter that he'll be back soon. So maybe a week or two at the very least. Hopefully not too much more than that. But I think those losses hurt more than this game loss, especially having Matt Ioannidis out for the year. But Dwayne Haskins just did not look great. Didn't look good, Joe, and was no fault to the offensive line, as you pointed out as we were texting during the game.
It wasn't. I mean, I was very impressed with the offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball. A lot of new names out there. Isaiah Wright comes to mind really quickly. He made that not to mention all around hustle playing. To break up an interception, not to mention, just trying to fight for extra yards and get out there and really contribute on offense. On defense, I think, you pointed it out, we had two big losses early there with Matt Ioannidis going down and then Chase Young obviously going down not long after. Obviously thought we're going to be doomed at that point, especially with that running game. But that defensive line stepped up. Montez Sweat had his coming out party, I believe, yesterday. He should have had 3 sacks, but they took one away because of that intentional grounding that Baker Mayfield got. But Haskins, man, for us to have so many positive things to point out, I was hoping for that one because there was so much growth in that team, on the offensive line, playing as a unit. The defensive line, losing 2 big pieces and playing like a unit. The secondary, having Kendall Fuller back. I think they brought it up in the commentary in the game. That communication in the secondary was there. Definitely, we gave up a huge third down, a third and long late in the third quarter. I think that really changed the momentum of the game. But they played great, throughout. They were defending a small end of the field the entire game. That defense was based upon our fumbles. I think Haskins had 4 turnovers himself. 3
Yeah.
interceptions and then the strip sack. By Myles Garrett, who says he goes for the ball first, and he was not lying. He get in there and went straight for that ball. He could have really laid out Haskins if he wanted to, but he was way more concerned about getting that ball, which I think is just it goes to show what his knowledge of the game and the awareness that Myles Garrett has. But like you said, that line played good. They gave him enough time. It's just Haskins, man. I do not know what he was thinking on some of those throws.
Yeah, the biggest head scratcher had to have been he threw it directly to the linebacker. I forget who the linebacker was here. Carl Joseph, or excuse me, no, that wasn't him. I forget who it was, but I mean, it was clear as day. And he just, it looked like that's
Malcolm
who he was.
Smith or something.
Oh, Malcolm Smith. That's exactly who it was. It was Malcolm Smith. I mean, clear as day, threw it right to him. Like, it looked like that's who he was trying to complete the pass to. And that, the biggest thing so far was that he wasn't doing that. He wasn't turning the ball over as far as interceptions. He's got to get much, much better holding on that ball in the pocket, especially if he's going to be getting sacked. We see kind of these younger guys coming up, these younger pass rushers. Yeah, they'll try to sack the quarterback, but like you said, I mean, we see Chase Young do it. He kind of goes for the ball either first or simultaneously as he's going for the sack. They don't just go for the blow up knock anymore. Like those guys try to punch the ball out because quarterbacks have gotten better about protecting it. And Dwayne Haskins, he's got to do an even better job because he really hasn't done it so far. Shit, I think he's had a fumble in all 3 games thus far. I can't remember if he had one in week 1, but he's had one. I know he obviously had one last week. Has one this week. I mean, that's going to be a backbreaker for any team if your quarterback can't hold on to the ball when he's getting sacked. So, it's real unfortunate. We have all the confidence in the world in Dwayne. We know that the ability is there, but something's getting lost in translation or something's just not, clicking where he just isn't performing to the level that we're expecting, to that we're wanting. Obviously, definitely not. But I mean, he's got to be expecting to be, he's got to expect himself to be performing a little bit better, right? You would think. So I think we're not going to put all this loss on Dwayne. You can't do that when you do have a young quarterback like this. Less than 12 starts in the league so far, so we still need to see some more. But it's kind of getting to that point where it's like sometimes young quarterbacks have bad games, but it's like have we seen a good game from Dwayne yet? Where it's
exactly.
Where it's like, man, he really showed out. If we get that, Dwayne, then we're going to be pretty good. I haven't seen that just yet.
I haven't seen a flash of it. You see it in plays, with good throws. But, we see terrible quarterbacks making good throws all the time. These guys all have that level at some point to be able to make it to the NFL. But yeah. We've always talked about what separates them from the most is be able to do it on a consistent basis and to be able to have the results to show for it. And Dwayne Haskins has done neither. He's done neither. Has not shown its consistency or has not showed results as far as wins and losses, in the stats column. They're the most important stat. I mean, and it was just so troublesome. I mean, everything we talked about, as far as Friday, as far as, the Scott Turner and the planning of getting the ball out of his hand quick. They did everything. They planned. They gave him a perfect game plan. We started fast. We were up 7-0. Probably should have been up more. We wouldn't have had that first, that first interception, that he threw that they brought back and ended up going 10. We were up 7-3 at that point. We were driving down. We were in scoring range until we took a sack or took a loss on a Antonio Gibson screen and then took a penalty and then he threw that interception. So we lost points on that drive. Not to mention gave them a touchdown. What a huge swing it was in the game because we were handling them on defense. If we would have kept up and had 0 turnovers, I was confident our defense could have defended that field all day long, the long field. But you give that short field on quick turnarounds, and you're getting them out there, especially when we don't have the rotation. We have a couple injuries on the defensive line, and those guys, of course, they're going to get that cutback lane was just open all day for Nick Chubb, and once he started utilizing it, he was getting huge chunks. And,
yeah, you saw he busted off the 25-yard run there. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, continue your thought.
No, but I'm just saying, it's just, it's hard to point to anywhere else in the game because, like I said, the defense they played a great job, all points considering. The running game was there. Antonio Gibson got the touchdown run. The wide receivers were not dropping open passes. They were getting open. They were doing things in the secondary. No bad special teams plays yesterday. I think it just all falls back on Haskins. And I hate to say that because he is such a young guy. But you can't. We don't expect you to win games for us, but you can't lose games for us either.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, we see, his one interception comes when we're trying to drive. It's 24-20. Obviously, we score a touchdown and we turn the ball over. So, I mean, we had plenty of opportunity there late to go ahead. And then, like you said, we turn the ball over and that just extends the lead even more to them. And it's just, it's super unfortunate. Like you said, the back-breaking plays at the back-breaking times. The third quarter we look good. I thought, okay, here we go. We're back in rhythm. We go into halftime, make some adjustments. That's one thing we've done well thus far. Maybe not so much against the Cardinals, but I guess 2 out of 3 games is coming out of halftime and having good halftime adjustments. You know what I mean? That's what the good teams do, is they're able to make adjustments at halftime. We saw it out in LA, who we play in a couple weeks. They're down big to Buffalo. They come out at halftime, make a couple halftime adjustments, and they're right there, almost winning that game. So that's just one example that comes off the top of my head. But you see it week in and week out of teams that either aren't playing well or are playing okay, and then once head to the locker room, come out in the third quarter, and they come out guns blazing. We've done that at least 2 out of 3 weeks. Like I said, maybe not so much last week. So you got to see something there. But when you're turning the ball over late, when you're, like you said, when you're having a 10-point swing, whereas you're looking at 3 points, but now all of a sudden, the other team, you just turn it over and they scored 7. I mean, you're gonna be hard pressed to win any ball games like that. So I thought this was gonna be a big opportunity for our secondary to maybe feast on Baker a little bit. We almost had an interception, but Odell Beckham, did his best Darryl Green impersonation and broke up the pass. So we weren't able to get that one there, but. Yeah, I mean, we just weren't able to make the right plays at the right times. We made plenty of plays, but just not the right ones at the right time.
And then the wrong ones at the wrong time, just like you said.
1,000%.
Is most of our interceptions, even the one that we threw when we were in their territory, they took it back into their territory, in our territory. You know what I'm saying? They even when we're in their territory throwing interception, they brought it back to our territory. So it wasn't like every time we were in bad situations when it came to those interceptions. And a few of, they were all bad throws. They were all bad throws too. It was just, he missed high on the first one, I think, and then the second one he missed high. The third one he threw right to him. And it was like he said, right to Malcolm Smith. And I don't know what you do in these situations. I know Ron Rivera was very adamant in the post game to talk about he's going with Haskins. We got to see what we have here. We're gonna play him. We're not, Haskins is our quarterback, which I'm sure. You have to say right now, and all things being considered, I think you do. It's the right decision. You have to keep him in there.
Agreed.
It is the right. As much as we want to win now, we don't know. It's not. It's our organization. We have a process here, and trust the process. It's not just a saying. It is a thing. But I think that let's say we get in a week 8-9 situation later in the season, and our division's doing what they do, and that's the NSA leads to stay, pretty inconsistent, and we're still fighting for the division, and he's still playing like this late in the season. We have a chance to possibly win the division and go into playoffs. I would not be surprised if we don't see Kyle Allen and Alex Smith at that point. If there's something on the line late in the season, and Haskins still proves that he is this inconsistent quarterback that we can't rely on to win games, I do see us pulling the change at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree there. I can't. But I mean, you're right. It's kind of funny how it works because, nobody was expecting to try to win now. At least they shouldn't have. If you're a Washington football team fan, you should not have been expecting to win now. But we come out, we win week 1, and it's like, okay, all right, we're cooking. Week 2, tough matchup. Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, doesn't go so great. You're like, all right, whatever. And then you lose to the Browns, and it's like, well, blow it up. It was never going to work. It's like, whoa, pump the brakes a little bit, slow it down. We were never going to be contending for an NFC championship or anything like that. Like I said, it does help the fact that the rest of the division is trash right now. The Cowboys are one Dan Quinn away from being 0-3, and we'd have one, the only team in the division with a win. And so, it's just wild how these first 3 weeks have played out. And it's not totally shocking that it's kind of played out this way with how weird the offseason was. But I think you're right. We definitely have to stick with Dwayne. If it does come down to it and it looks like we could make the playoffs, I would prefer Kyle Allen. I still don't know how comfortable I feel with Alex Smith being out there on that leg, but hey, who am I? I'm not a doctor. Who am I to question it? One thing though, you mentioned Ron Rivera in the post game press conference. He got a lot of flack, at least in the Twitterverse, of seemingly kind of quitting on the team because we were started running the ball. We had 3 minutes left. If you down 14, you score a touchdown, maybe you're back in it. Give it the old watermelon kick and see if you can scoop that ball up. But it looked like we're running out the clock. And obviously that's not the type of coach Ron Rivera is. But also he is the smart, calculated type of coach. So unless he wants to take calculated risks. If he's seeing that Dwayne just isn't playing very well, then he's like, yeah, just run out the clock. Pack it up and we'll take it to next week. I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know what exactly. I'm kind of indifferent there. What are your feelings there, Joe?
Well, I saw the same thing. A lot of people talking about it last week as well. It wasn't just this week. It was last week as well. They're tired of Ron taking timeouts home with them. You know what I mean? Like, what are those timeouts are meant to use in the game? If you have all 3 timeouts and you lose at the end of the game, did you properly coach your team? Did you properly give them
Right.
The best chance to win? And seeing the game yesterday myself, watching the game myself, at the point of him throwing that 3rd interception, I think we all saw what was going on there, that Haskins was not on the incline, that he was on the decline as far as the reads go in that game. And I think the defense was a little on to the way he was playing. So, I go back to the old, Santana Moss game when we won the game with 3 minutes left. We scored 2 touchdowns in 3 minutes, so anything can happen.
Yeah.
So I'm the type of person that's going to go all the way in. Now, whether Ron is that type of person, he will take calculated risk. He will go for it on 4th, as we've seen in the past, many times. But is he going to put his team in unnecessary danger? That's where it was with him. Is he going to put Dwayne Haskins back there running around and get an ACL tear to win a game that probably the odds say you're not going to win based upon all things considered with the team you have? So you can't really knock him for that. In my mind, the good part of me thought the game was over once they went up to 2 scores. I myself went back to the red zone and was trying to watch the Eagles to see if they were going to come out on top of that after that with that time exactly 3 minutes left. I myself went over to the Eagles game, and it goes to that mentality of like, all right, we lost. Now is everybody else going to lose? So I start going in to become a Bengals fan and a Seahawks fan for the next rest of the day. But I'm not going to give Ron slack over that. I think that it goes. I think the only thing that you can give Ron slack about is for preparing the quarterback right now, and that falls on the whole team. How are we preparing that quarterback? I saw a post on Twitter a little while ago, and it wasn't it was an old one. It was someone that someone brought up. I guess it was from training camp of Thomas Davis talking to Dwayne Haskins about. You saw that too about not staring down receivers, and that's all That's all he was doing in those games yesterday. And Dwayne Haskins, it looked like in the old post, Dwayne Haskins took a little offense to being told, that being called out like that. But sheesh, Thomas Davis, a veteran who's been in the NFL for how many seasons now, how many teams, how many people has he played with, how many shoulders has he rubbed, how many scout quarterbacks has he watched to know if he's telling you something, you better listen. He's not going to go out there just to tell you to humble you or to make you feel bad about yourself. He's telling you something because he wants to win, because he has that mentality of helping a youngster. So it goes to show that if Haskins has done all the right things, but it sounds like he's not doing all the right things if he's not listening to his teammates. And that's, I think, the point being brought up with that tweet and with the Twitter. And if it is not improved upon by next week, I think it's going to be something to be concerned about, as far as Haskins. Can he be coached? Can some of these things be coached out of him? So I'm interested to see. We have a huge game next week, not to get too far ahead of ourselves. We'll save that for the preview show this week with the Ravens. But it'll be very interesting to see how Haskins responds, and how he plays next week.
Yeah, especially against a tough defense. We always know that Baltimore, whether they have the names or not, they're always going to be a tough defense. They're always going to be a tough out. And then you throw in, quite possibly the most electric quarterback the game has seen in quite some time. That offense as a whole, that rushing offense, agreed. But yeah, I mean, like I said, that clip of Thomas Davis coming up and telling him, and he kind of like he said, he kind of took offense to it and kind of like fought it for a minute. I did read later that Thomas Davis mentioned on a podcast that Dwayne Haskins did in fact go watch film. came back and was like, hey man, you were right. I apologize. Like, you were right. I need to get better at it. So, hopefully that, that's a true story and that it happened behind the scenes like that. Because you want your quarterback, your young quarterback, to be able to be coachable. That's one of the biggest things I preach to all the kids I coach. Be coachable. If I'm taking the time to sit you down or to pull you aside and tell you something that I see wrong, listen. You know what I mean? Because I'm coaching 13 or 14 other guys out here, but I'm pulling you aside personally and taking my attention away from them so that I can tell you something and something, get you better and get you to focus on something and making your game a little bit better. Then you better listen to it. You know what I mean? I'm not just saying it just to talk, or I'm not telling you something, that's not true just because. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm here to coach. And so I think Dwayne Haskins needs to realize that too, that if Thomas Davis, who really, the only allegiance he has to Washington is the fact that we're signing his checks. You know what I mean? So yeah, obviously the guy wants to win, but he knows what kind of situation he's coming to over here. He's not coming over here to get a ring. He's coming over here because he's familiar with Ron Rivera. He wants to continue playing and maybe teach and pass on some of his knowledge to these younger cats. And that's what he was trying to do here with Dwayne. And for Dwayne to blow him off like that, yeah, it's a little jarring and a little shocking to see. But, you're hoping that he did, in fact, come back and apologize and realize that Thomas Davis was right. Yeah, so I agree. We've got to start seeing some improvement from Dwayne, because right now, I can't even say that it's been consistent. Maybe consistently bad, but there hasn't been like too much of a glimmer of hope. I take that back. When we've mentioned it 100 times on the show, that when they started working the ball in tempo against Philadelphia, that he looked good. There was like, okay, this is the Dwayne we're hoping for. Like I said, it's been a couple plays, hasn't been for like a full quarter, hasn't been for a full game, for a full half, whatever. There has been some bright spots of plays that we've seen from him, and we just got to continue, to hopefully see more of that and less of what we saw Sunday, because Sunday was by far his worst game this season. And
of his career, I'd say. Obviously, his pro career.
His young career. So, it's tough. Taking a look though at some of the other guys, some good things. Let's talk about a little positive stuff here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Antonio Gibson, 9 rushes, 49 yards, gets his first rushing touchdown. So shout out to him. Antonio Gandy Golden, AGG, he gets the rush for 22 yards. He busts one off. Doesn't see a single target.
Gets popped too. He got popped after that run.
He got licked. Yeah. That's one thing that you mentioned Isaiah Wright earlier, but AGG really hasn't been involved in the passing game a whole lot. But Dontrell Inman, the old man, I say that tongue in cheek. He's been around for about 8-9 years now. Yeah, flexes on him with 2 touchdowns, 3 catches for 38 yards, and touchdown. Terry didn't get a touchdown this game, but continues to ball out. 4 catches for 83 yards. Saw 8 targets. The chemistry between him and Dwayne is obviously there. Dwayne almost tries to force the ball to him sometimes, but when you can come up with some of the catches that we've seen Terry come up with, I can't fault him.
Oh my God. All I could think about yesterday because I think as we're sold on Terry, I think we both know how good Terry is and can be. But I think a lot of the league is not sold or is hesitant to call him an elite. And even in the back of your mind, you're like, should I start him in fantasy? But he balls out in fantasy too. But I couldn't help but think, man, if Kirk Cousins would have had touchdown Terry. Could you imagine? That's all he was missing was a true wide receiver, Kirk Cousins, on our team. We had a bunch of, I hate bringing it up, anything positive about Kirk, because especially after everything. But man, right now I'm just singing the praises of Terry McLaurin and how awesome he is. And every time he gets that ball in his hands, you don't know what he's gonna do. I like him a lot, just a bigger Santana Moss, because the agility he has on him. Once he gets that ball in his hands, he's gonna make. I think Chris Spielman said it best. You put a linebacker on Terry McLaurin and not think he's gonna make him miss when he gets the ball in open field. He did, and he has a huge bright spot on that team. And I really hope that we get a true number one. I think Isaiah Wright took a lot of big steps yesterday to becoming that. I think, but Dontrell Inman as well made a case for himself as, hey, you just throw me the ball and I'm going to make touchdowns. And I'm not mad at that at all. If he catches those passes, leave him in the game in those big situations. And both of them were on third down, I believe, and they were both huge, and both huge touchdowns there. To take the lead the second time. But there was a lot of positive spots there on offense, and I still think Logan Thomas, the offensive line, that's a huge plus. Knowing we're not going to have Scher for a while, but Schweitzer, is it Schweitzer, right? Schweitzer is how you pronounce it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
we got the West brothers, Wes Martin and Wes Schweitzer on the as the as the guards going there, and other than the one play where Wes kind of left Chase Rouillet on an island there to get plummeted. I don't know if you remember that
Yeah,
one,
yeah, I
but
saw that. Yeah,
but that line play gave up just the one sack I think to Haskins, correct? Just the strip. So for them to do that against an offense, a Myles Garrett led defense is a big step up on the offense. And again, I could not sing the praises enough on the defensive side of the ball for the hustle of the linebacker play, for the defensive line play. Although we did give up 34 points, but again we were put in such terrible positions based upon our offense. It wasn't I don't want to say it wasn't the defense's fault, but it wasn't their fault. So there was a lot of bright spots to look out there, and let's hope that they can kind of shine on the trap game coming up.
Yeah, no, it definitely could be a trap game for Baltimore. I don't know who they have week 5, who Baltimore does, but I mean, it could be a look ahead game too, where they're getting ready for Washington, but kind of looking ahead past them because they're thinking, hey, this is going to be a win. Obviously, they have a tough game tonight too against Kansas City,
Chiefs,
so
exactly.
we can't put that by them either. So obviously, that running game we knew was going to be sick. 154 yards, 2 touchdowns between Chubb and Hunt. So tough there.
Baker
But I
didn't
think
do much.
he did not. He had 2 touchdown passes. One to Kareem Hunt as well, and the other one to Harrison Bryant. So a tight end. Shocker, we gave a touchdown to a tight end. I know everyone was thoroughly surprised to see that. But what I as much as he didn't do, I think our biggest miss was not forcing any turnovers with him. Because if we're gonna force any turnovers by a quarterback, I mean Baker Mayfield's got to be pretty close to the top of the list of guys that we're gonna do that to. So it's unfortunate that we weren't able to do that. I think that could have helped Dwayne and helped the offense quite a bit. As if we're generating turnovers, not really breaking news. Your team does well when you take the ball away from the other team. I know, but kind of like what we saw against Philadelphia, where we take the ball over, we get it either deep in their territory or right around midfield, and we can make things work from there. And so I think that was probably one of the bigger misses for us in this game. But like I said, some bright spots, mostly not so bright spots for Dwayne. But I mean, hey, all we can do is keep on rolling, keep on getting better. And like I said, no one should have been expecting to be pushing for a division lead, division title, an NFC title. I know our preseason, we came out and said 9-7, but I think that was the ceiling of what we expected was 9-7. If we're right around 6-10, 7-9, I'll be happy with that too, as long as they're, even if some of those losses are quality losses, you know what I mean? Where we are competing, we're close. Maybe we lose at the end. That's fine. That's what I want to see. I want to see this team be able to be put in tough spots and see how they respond. I want to see Dwayne do that. Be put in a tough spot and see how they respond. Because that's I think how you can kind of check the a gut check of your team to see how good they might really be, or individual players.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at all. I mean, if they were losing like Dak Prescott was losing with 472 yards. That's the kind of losing I want to see. The kind of losing I want to see out of Dwayne Haskins, where we're on the stat sheet. It looks like we should have won, but that's the kind of, I think that's the kind of season a lot of us are hoping for, is just to see growth in a lot of the players. Go out there, make a lot of good plays, build that confidence up. If we end up getting, I would have been mad yesterday if we were tied and Baker end up beating us in the end of the game. Or a shootout. I'm not going to get mad in those types of situations, other than just giving the game up and having no hope there at the end. Both last 2 weeks we just gave those games away, and really had little glimmers in there at the end. Of the Arizona game, and then yesterday, right after that third quarter, we pretty much knew it was over. So we got to be competitive all the way till that last minute, and I think a lot of us will be happier with that type of loss versus getting these 3 interception, 2 score losses, So
Yeah.
like you said, hopefully we had some bright spots. Not a lot bright for our quarterback, and that's what we need to see moving forward, is some bright spots for Dwayne.
100% agree. Could not agree more. We'll see how Baltimore fares against Kansas City tonight. Then obviously we'll have our pre-game show, or look ahead preview show for week 4 coming out on Friday. But I think goal number 1 for Sunday, not getting too far ahead, is not give up 17 points in the first half. That's gonna be my first goal. That's gonna be my first goal. If we can limit them to less than 17 points in the half, we could be cooking. But you never know with that electric offense. Like I said, Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown, all the weapons they have. Mark Ingram, who was in the Cayman Islands the same time I was. We were on the same flight back home. Big trust, shout out. But yeah, so we'll be back out here on Friday with our preview show. The good news, we're still in first place. The bad news, the entire division stinks. So who knows? I guess that's also kind of good news though too. But
yeah,
that's all I got. Obviously the +7, this, the Redskins didn't cover. The under did hit though. It was 44.5, or excuse me, the over hit. So I missed that as well. So 0-for-2, big losing weekend for me there. 0-for-2 on both those picks. Was not expecting a high scoring game like this, but when you turn the ball over 4 times, that's going to happen for one team or the other. But anyway, that'll do it for us here. Joe, you got anything else before we wrap up?
That's it. Just got to take it on the chin. We're still moving forward. We still have a lot of improvement and growth on this team, and we got to look at it that way. We can't always look at the wins or losses. Let's just try to get better.
Absolutely. Could not agree more. Very well put. So as always, if you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Ring that notifications bell. Leave some down in the comments for us to talk about. Nobody's leaving us anything in the comments. That's why we keep mentioning it every week. Come on.
Hey, no. Shout out to Christopher Smith, who did say.
Christopher Smith. Oh, I missed that.
He did say on the YouTube video, please beat the hell out of the Browns or something like that. So he did. So shout out to Christopher Smith. Thanks for the comment. Well, I'm sorry we could not, grant your wish, but we know why. We'll see it going forward, Chris. Shout out to you. I'm glad your Steelers won.
Yeah, if we could have done it, like if you and I, personally could have done something, then yeah, maybe. But unfortunately, we weren't able to. We weren't able to do that for you, Chris. Sorry. But yeah, congrats to your Steelers. I actually bet on them -4 against the Texans. They covered late, so shout out to them. Big Ben and Juju looking good. James Conner too. After a rough week 1, he's come out and balling. So shout out to Chris and his Steelers. But yeah, subscribe on YouTube. Ring the notifications bell. Like, rate, review, subscribe on Apple iTunes. Tell your friends, tell your family. Even if they're Washington football fans, even if they're just football fans, get a little insight. Maybe we're playing your team one week, and you kind of want to see what the other side is talking about. But we kind of touched on what happened around the division. The Giants stink, the Eagles stink, the Cowboys got down big, almost came back and didn't. So kind of same recipe of the last couple weeks. So we will see you on Friday, and until then, take it easy.
Bye-bye.